Hello and welcome to Connected Geek. I'm Larry Miller and this is Tom Staley. Oh, I hit your microphone. Sorry, Tom. So, once again, I am Larry Miller and I am of Connected Geek, and we are talking today about what I talked about this past week, and it was everything from how to pick out a new computer to your antivirus, your Internet Explorer. All those things are what I talked about, to the point where they were everything from Chrome to Opera. I don't know if you ever use Opera, but I mean it's different types of browsers to help you go through your experience. And one of the themes that I did this week was it's all about preference, and how your computer experience is all about your preference, and how you what kind of computer you buy, what kind of environment you want to immerse yourself to go onto the internet. So once again, I'm Larry Miller, and I do services and support for IT companies and residential, and I can do everything from replace your wireless access point in your home or your business, to replace your computer, to fix a network environment so where it's working at an optimal level. So if you need my services, or you think you need a website or social media, I can help you. At my website at connectedgeek.net, go in the top right-hand corner, it says Schedule an Appointment, and I will help you get to the social needs that you can to make your company or your home success. Once again, this is Tom Staley, and he and I have known each other for multiple years. We work together, we've done multiple projects, and he's helped me through a lot of things, personal and business. Tom, so thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself so the viewers can know what's going on.
My name's Tom. I work at a large law firm now. Pretty much always worked in IT in the corporate world. To give you a little point of reference, so when I got into doing IT, and actually Larry won't tell you, but he was too, there was no internet yet. We didn't do that. If we did have anything that connected network-wise, it was all local, and then we used to have these things called BBSs, which were dial-in computers. Basically, you had a server that had a modem connected to it, or multiple modems, and multiple phone lines. You would dial in and talk to that server, and that was really kind of the predecessor to the internet.
True.
And I ran one of those, so I've been in this a long time.
Yes, you have. And now you work on databases.
Correct, yeah.
And multiple applications that connect to those databases, and for our folks at home that they may not know, they connect to what is called a SAN, a storage area network, where all data is stored at multiple levels, and you have servers on that SAN, you have networks on those SANs, and I don't want to get too techy for the folks, but can you give them a little bit of high-level overview of what that looks like? Of
what a SAN would be?
Well, what you do inside of that environment
what I do.
That works with that SAN, works with those servers, works with those databases and applications. So,
okay, well, actually, in the corporate world, that's all split up into different parts. So I know I can give you an overview from a mile up. Mm-hmm. So there is network storage that's based, like with our company, it's based in Detroit, Chicago, and San Antonio. I have databases on all that storage, and I control those all from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. So everything's done remotely. It's for those of you that don't know what a database is, it's kind of like your address book, only it's way bigger. It just holds and I can guarantee anybody who's watching this is in a database someplace.
Because Facebook has a database.
Facebook has a database.
Instagram, Snapchat, all of those
well,
things.
Almost anything that's data-driven is backed by Microsoft SQL. There are a few things with Oracle and whatnot, large enterprise data, but...
Well, if you do like a WordPress database, that's MySQL, or Egress is what the name of the databases are called. Mm-hmm. They're still based in a very simplistic version of a SQL database. Right?
Correct.
And
yes.
For those people that don't know what a SQL database is, just the SQL... It's older than Microsoft. Basically, it's way the data is accessed and distributed and understood. So, and Tom does that on a day-to-day basis, and that's
what I do now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because you've grown into that, and that's wonderful.
Yep.
So, Tom, I was talking this week about just everything from buying a new computer to the type of computer to the antivirus that you put on the computer and the browser that you're doing. just from your own point of view, or what you like to use as a computer, what is your go-to computer? What is your go-to browser? What is your go-to antivirus? Just
Okay, generally I go for an HP
okay.
or a Lenovo.
Okay.
I just like that brand of hardware. That's my personal preference.
What part of those particular pieces of hardware seem to resonate with you?
Just through my experience, because I've worked with almost every brand,
Right.
I've had less trouble from those two. Now, and there again, I don't buy the low-end HP. I'll buy something a little like a higher-end.
Like an i7 or something.
Correct.
Right.
Something with an i7. I'll go. I don't buy the. It's a lot like cars, I think, with computers. If you buy the cheapest one, you're getting the cheapest one.
Right.
So
what I was telling people earlier in the week, buy the computer that you think you could afford,
right.
and then buy it one step higher, because so you can grow into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're gonna, and I mentioned this earlier in the week, there's an i3, an i5, and i7. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch Monday's episode, and that episode will talk about the different processors and what works inside that. I personally stay away from the AMD processor because it's slower than even in my opinion, I've noticed, than the i3. But unless you've seen something different, then I don't think. Personally, I haven't. So
It depends on what you're doing, I think, too.
So what I was saying is, if you're going to buy a computer and you see that the i3 is in your budget, if you can't afford it, buy the i5, because what the i5 will do, it'll grow with you, because it's just so much more. I bought my kids an i5 because they had an i3 before, and they always complained about the slowness. And so I said, okay, we're gonna buy an i7, and then it's i5, and it's gonna grow into. Well, I buy i7s because I do this kind of work. I do video editing, video processing, all kinds of stuff like that. And so I need the higher end processor to do that. You do a lot of database work, so you need to have that connection to process, and you're doing other things at the same time, right?
Yeah, honestly though, most of from what I do, the computing is all done on the server, so I need to have a server that's got major beef. But the connection it's not too bad really. It's for home users. I tend to ask them, okay, what are you going to use this for, really?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Are you going to be editing photos and making videos, or are you pretty much going to be checking your email and reading things on the internet? If that's the case, you can get away with just about any processor.
Right.
You don't need a ton of RAM, because look at a Chromebook. It'll browse the web just fine, and they're not
perfect.
They're not super powerful,
Right.
So
and a Chromebook is if you don't want to use any data stored locally, or don't want to do anything that's going to cause you to not need the internet, it's a perfect book for you.
it is. They won't work for guys like Larry and I, but they work for if you want something if somebody to carry something around, they're awesome.
Or just taking notes in a conference or at a
Right.
meeting or something like that. So if all you want to do is just take a tiny little notebook instead of a handwritten notebook, and you like to type instead, take a Chromebook. As long as you're connected to the internet, boom, you're done.
Right. And I've helped people pick computers out. What I'll recommend is if they need something to do photo editing and video, get a powerful desktop, because they tend to be cheaper.
Right.
To buy a desktop that's got like a heavy duty graphics card in it. Right. Then get a Chromebook for when they're traveling around. They can take the pictures, they can,
You can buy a brand new computer desktop for anywhere from $200 to $300 at Micro Center.
Right.
I mean, it's just boom, you're done. I mean, and monitors like $100 and $125.
Right.
I mean, if that. So for less than $500, you can buy a whole new computer setup for the whole family, and they can do whatever they need to do. And if you had a touch screen, which some people love that, so you can have a touch screen.
Right.
It's a little bit more maybe, but I mean, it's still kind of nice. So.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So what kind of antivirus do you like to use?
I'm a big fan of AVG.
Okay.
That's not what we use on a corporate level, but for my own personal laptop, that's what I use.
Norton, right?
Yeah, Symantec.
Symantec.
Yep.
Right. I personally don't care for Norton. It's just too. It's so it's overwhelmingly resource intensive. It takes so much resources from the computer. That's why you would need a higher end processor, because it's, in my opinion, to offset keeping that computer protected.
Right.
I personally like WebRoot. It's a small form factor. It doesn't need a lot of resources, and it still does the job. AVG is very similar to that, but only if you buy the version, the full version.
Right.
If you you buy the free version, it's just all the stupid pop-ups all the time.
Well, and actually, what I'm finding too, like I'm actually going to look into a new like AVG still does a nice job on viruses and web browsing. So please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying the product's not good, but I'm getting a lot of, and I pay for it. I'm subscribed, and I'm still. They want to sell me a new tool or a new this or a new that or a driver update or this. And just check for viruses, man. That's all I need you to do. I got the rest, So
yeah. Well, that's why I get Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes takes care of the other parts that AVG or WebRoot or Norton doesn't take care of, because I've ran Malwarebytes on a computer before, and it's cleaned it up perfectly that AVG or WebRoot couldn't even handle.
Well, AVG's got pieces that'll do that now.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, okay, and then I bought Ultimate AVG at the time.
Right.
Now they've added more pieces and want me to buy those too and subscribe. Right.
Come on.
So usually, I'll be honest, guys, because Larry's in the community more dealing with end users. I'll call him and find out what he's doing on a personal level. Like I know what we do in the corporate world, but that's different, because we also lock our like my personal or my business laptop is actually locked down. I can't check my Gmail or anything on it, even when I'm connected outside of work. So it's not that from anywhere. We use what's called Umbrella.
Okay.
And it's installed on the actual local machine, and it blocks us out from anything. So, and
I could see that happening. Yeah.
Could I get around it? Yes, but I'm not gonna, because it's not right. The users can't do it. I'm not gonna either.
You said you worked for a law firm, so that law firm has sensitive data that needs to be protected. And
correct.
A couple weeks ago, and partially this past week, I did talk about safety and how important it is to not push that information out to the world unless it needs to be. If it's sensitive information, you need to keep it sensitive. And because you're in such a big law firm, it needs to be protected, because you have everything from financial information, you have HIPAA compliances, so all those Sarbanes-Oxley things that need to be protected. So you need to protect your company. And that's something that I can do. I've done it. I did it when we worked together at the law firm. There's been a lot of things that I helped. I didn't necessarily forefront, but I helped install the forefronting of it, and it's still come to fruition every day with you, where you're still working there. And it's I would have to say I'm proud that I'm able to see that it's still working the way it's supposed to, even after I'm gone. And it's important to know that. When you work in this kind of field, that when you are doing this type of work, you're helping people succeed. Mm-hmm. You're helping companies be better. You're helping companies help their customers, because my customer is you, hypothetically, right? But,
right.
So your customer is still my customer. So,
right.
So I have to always think about what your customer is feeling and experiencing. So I try to make sure that when I help you and help others, I'm realizing that I'm helping 2 or 3 people beyond you. It's like the 6 degrees of help.
Yeah.
So I try to think of it that way. And
so, by the way, folks, Larry is the Kevin Bacon in the IT world. If you're, so anyway.
The 6 degrees of separation is me.
Yeah. Everybody knows Larry at some level. I mean, we've all, out there, I can't really go to a conference or anything and somebody doesn't know Larry Miller. It's kind of a thing. So
I try to stay connected. That's why it's Connected Geek, right? So
right.
My network is still growing every day. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for about 7-8 months now, and I've had the Connected Geek business since 2006.
Right.
And it's been around a while. But I'm trying. The reason why not only am I trying to give value by doing these podcasts and these video casts and Facebook Lives, so I'm trying to give value back to my community of patrons and my audience. My audience needs to know more about what I do, because I've had people say, well, what do you do inside of the Connected Geek world? And I tell them, well, it's kind of like a doctor. I do everything. I'm a general practitioner of IT. I don't really do specialized. I can do your job if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I may take a little bit more time to figure it out.
Actually, folks, a little break. Larry actually helped me when I first started my job. So,
well, I appreciate that, Tom. So, but what I'm getting at is I've done a lot of things. I can't program an app. I can't. We have a mutual acquaintance that used to be a whiz at programming.
Oh yeah, we're thinking of the same guy, I'm sure.
So he could program something in his sleep, right? Because that's what he does. I could never do that. Oh, okay, well, I won't say that. I could potentially do it with a lot of time and effort. So,
Yeah. Oh, you could do anything he does.
Yeah.
It would just take you longer because this is one of those guys that can sleep on a book and wake up and he's an expert in the morning.
Yes, he was.
He
was very
could
good
could
at
absorb information by osmosis. I'm
He was
positive.
amazing.
He was like a soup. That was his mutant ability.
it. And he could do everything. You know, I'm sure he's already built 20 apps on an iPhone.
He actually works for one of our vendors now as an up high manager.
I can believe it. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I've done this stuff a long time, but I don't get too deep into it. I just try to be as general practitioner as I can, but I want to be able to help my audiences and my customers succeed in their IT needs. And Tom has helped me enormous amount of times to get to the next levels, and I hope I've done the same for you. So
Absolutely.
So, go back to the original question I had: is what internet browser do you like to use?
Okay, I like Chrome just because I've been using it for a long time. I'm not saying it. The only one I'll tell you it's actually better than is Internet Explorer. I really don't care for that one a lot.
No, I can't stand
And
it.
then now that actually Microsoft has retired it, really, I mean, it's still sort of functional, but
It's still there.
they want you to use Edge.
It's just IE with a new face.
Yeah, Edge it's okay. You know, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm used to Chrome, and I use Gmail, so I'm really
A Chrome.
a Chrome guy. Yeah,
Right.
it just everything fits
What
together
about
nicely.
Chrome do you like? That seems to be.
Honestly, to me, it's the most intuitive browser.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Right.
But it's also, I'm really used to it. Like at the time when I switched to Chrome, there was basically Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome.
Right.
And I liked Chrome.
Right.
Opera wasn't really out there yet. Isn't it? And it's a lot of Mac people, really, right?
No,
Mostly?
that's Safari.
Safari's, okay.
Safari is basically a Mac based. You can load it onto your Windows computer, but I think Mac has done everything to kind of sabotage it to not work as well as they want it to because they don't update it that often. They don't keep it up. And every time I get onto a Mac, I always load Chrome anyway,
Okay.
just because
Yeah.
I get all my shortcuts and my bookmarks and all of my.
Actually, I think you recommended Chrome way back when I switched to
Sure
it.
I did.
Now that I think about it, folks.
Well, see, I was one of the first people that asked to get a Gmail account
Okay.
because they, one of my old bosses, somehow got into the realm of Gmail when it first started. He got an invitation because it was invitation only to get into Gmail,
Okay.
and then he invited me, and then so I invited because I love that you could even at the beginning you could log in to your email, and it was such a great indexing of mail. I've never seen any. It's still to today. It's still a great tool to find anything in that blob of email that we have. Type in 2 or 3 words, and boom, it just results.
Yeah.
And they've applied that kind of algorithm to a lot of their other.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite features about like Chrome. Okay, because I'm in Chrome when I'm in my email, and it uses a Google type search when I'm searching through my email. So stuff comes up, and it's very intuitive, and I get what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's a great tool altogether. All right, so I want to go back one more. I've kind of talked about last week, but I liked what we talked about. I talked about the week before, which is social media.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're on Facebook, on Instagram, or Twitter, or any one of those things, right? And I know your family has been on there with some music things. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
My wife is a musician.
Okay, so
a very talented one, actually.
So yes, she is, and I have watched a lot of things that you guys have posted on Facebook Live, and it's really kind of nice to see a family going out and enjoying each other's company when you're singing, and you bring your family along, and it's really great. So what have you seen when you're doing that type of social media work or stuff or interaction with? What kind of feedback are you getting with that? Are you getting a lot of people saying they're? I don't. One of the topics was I called it stalking tech, and it's not like about stalking you.
Right.
It's more about
following you.
I'm a fan of you, but
Right.
I'm watching everything you do. And
Yes.
I'm watching on Instagram. I'm watching on Twitter. I'm watching on Facebook, and I know that you have a website, so I'm going to your website, interacting with that. Because your wife does a lot of things in that realm where she's a public figure, so to speak, in a position. How does that make you feel if we want to go that deep? But I mean, it's important to know you to still be safe, because we talked about that earlier. I mean, I would worry that where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I
just
do.
I'm trying to.
Actually, my wife is pretty safe about things. So she's got when she's a member of a band, they use that site, that
Okay,
Facebook
good.
page or that.
Right.
So like you're seeing her videos, she only posts those to her friends. She's
Right.
pretty safe about things.
Okay.
So
Because I try because our kids, literally our kids, have grown up with the internet.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And our kids have done everything with the screen in front of their face in one form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And in about 15 to 20 years, they're going to start running our country. They're going to start running how they do things and how they do business.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always worried about how much interaction of those screens in front of their face is going to impact how we do business 15, 20 years from now. I know we'll start to be retiring after that period of time, but or already retired, depending on where we are in the world. But it's important to know how we keep them grounded. And we talked about this earlier before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Is how do we keep our kids away from those screens and interact with us on a day-to-day basis? It's a hard question to ask and hard answer to answer.
It is. And you can try limiting their time on their social media and their electronic devices, but they use it for everything.
Right.
So it's really tough. I know I've got a 15-year-old son who's taken driver's training, and I have you rode in the car earlier that he's getting.
Right.
It's a nice car. He has no interest in driving, folks, whatsoever. Because he doesn't need to. His friends, when I was 15, I was 14, I could not wait to drive.
Same here. I want to get behind the car. I failed the first time, and I was so devastated because I failed. It's like, come on.
Well, and I grew up in northern Michigan, so I had driven quite a bit on property and whatnot, so I was fairly comfortable driving.
Yeah,
so
me too.
driver's training was not a big deal, but I couldn't wait. I was saving up for my first car. And my son has no interest in driving, really.
Well, who's to say, to take the tech mentality for one more step further, within the next 10, 15 years, how much more the autonomous car is going to be around, and he wouldn't have to even worry about it then.
That's true. Then he can actually be on his phone or tablet while he's driving.
Which people do anyway, right? And it was just kind of scary in the first place,
Yeah,
right? So
that's true.
I think...
Which we, by the way, in no way condone.
No, we do not text and drive. Do not do anything other than speakerphone if you have to. So,
There you go.
I think that because they're going to be doing business differently to the point where the autonomous car would probably let them be more productive.
True, because they could work while they're
right.
in.
And I
Be a lot of like a lot of places where Chicago, our Chicago office, those folks are working while they're on the train. They take the L into work or whatever train it is, but they all commute from outside of Chicago mostly.
Right, and it's a great time to catch up, listen to a book or read a book, or I love the idea of having that time to myself, just to kind of reflect. Or if I was in a corporate environment and I was 20 minutes away via vehicle of some sort, I would love that time just to kind of just either talk to a potential customer or use that time to reflect on the day or plan my day in my book or whatever. I mean, I'm old school. I have a book that I like to write in. I mean, I've tried for years to try to do electronically to-do lists. It just doesn't work for me. And
See, I've become more and more reliant on Outlook.
And like Outlook tasks and what have you.
Right.
I don't have that usability right now with what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fall into how I'm doing my business. But
Right.
a lot of people do that. A lot of people
They do.
utilize that. But sometimes the electronic version gets lost in the list. Kind of like if you have a busy day of email.
Mm-hmm.
All email is electronic to-do list for other people want you to do, right? That's
Right.
all email is, right? Well, over time, that list gets longer and longer, and if you don't keep it down to a zero inbox, is like some people would like to have, which most people can't. I mean,
that's never going to happen for me. I try, but no.
Exactly. So it's a day-to-day life of struggles, not only from trying to keep your family life separate from work and all the things related to that, and then trying to keep your work life just moving forward is a hard thing to do. So anyway, this has been a great conversation. You like anything else you'd like to add to the world and say, hey, this is what you're doing, or anything you want to add to the?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. I may get back
I'm
with
going
you.
to put you on the spot like that, but I mean, it's you. You've been a great guest, and I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with me today. It's been a long time.
Oh, and I will add this. This was my first Facebook Live, when we're going to podcast
I'm
it
going to
later?
make a podcast later. So
all right, so this was my first one.
Good job, Tom. So this is Facebook Live, and what I do is I take this and then I will pretty much either take out the beginning of it or just let it live the way it is, because Facebook Live is supposed to be just that Facebook
Can
Live.
you put Jason Momoa's face on me
I
when we
could
do it?
that. So Aquaman would be right here. Anyway, or if you're a true geek and you know that Jason Momoa was actually in a TV show called
Stargate Atlantis.
For our friend Renata.
And right, and for 10 additional points, what was the character's name, Larry?
Ronan.
There you go. See what he did? He just right. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, so what I was saying, I'll take this video, I'll upload it to YouTube as well, and then I'll extract the audio out of it and put it onto into Apple iTunes and Google Play Podcasts.
Now, I had a reason for doing that, folks. He can do that for you, just so you know. So if you ever want to do anything like that, he's got you covered. He can do all that stuff.
I can do that. And it's by the end of the day, this will be on those platforms in its fullest entirety. And Tom will be a star now.
Look at that. Hey.
So,
all right.
Wife, he's a star now. There he is.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for coming out. Once again, this is Larry Miller and Tom Staley. I'm of Connected Geek, and if you need any support or services related to IT services, Wi-Fi, website, social media, podcasting, Larry Miller can help you with that on my website, connectedgeek.net. And up on the top right-hand side, it says schedule an appointment. Reach out to me, and I can help you through all those things. Thanks again, and have a great day.